Dolphins fans, what's going on? It's Ben Morgan. It's the Fins Up Network, and bye-week preparation continues today. Actually, I don't even think that's a thing, but prep for the regular season, the remainder of it continues today as we are previewing the remainder of the Miami Dolphins schedule, talking some upcoming games, what games we got to have, what are the must-have wins, what should we be cheering for in regards to other teams in the AFC, some hopes, aspirations, goals that we should have now that we are 10 weeks in to the 2022 NFL regular season. But I'm going to change up your viewer homework assignment for today because before we get started, in the comments, I want you to drop either your favorite Dolphins game or your favorite Dolphins moment from so far this NFL season because I've got one in my head. I just like to see where everyone else is falling on that question. And also, before we get started, real quick, if you have any questions for the viewer mailbag video that I'm going to be doing later this week, drop those in the comments as well. We'll get to as many of those as possible. Let's jump in with a preview of those remaining games on the schedule because those games include week 12 at home against the Texans, and then it's 3 road games in a row. It's the 49ers, the Chargers, Bills. You return home to play the Packers on Christmas, then you go to New England, and then you wrap up the season at home against the Jets. So 7 games remaining. Obviously, we're 7-3 right now, meaning we could cap out at 14 wins. But with how things are currently shaping up in the AFC, I personally think it'll take about 10 wins to earn a wild card spot and probably somewhere along the lines of 12 to 13 if you want to win the AFC East. And I know the AFC East is just a jumbled mess right now with literally all 4 teams in the playoff hunt, in current playoff seedings right now. But I still think the Buffalo Bills current biggest competition for that. So if I label the following games as like should win, must wins, can't have letdowns, those games include the Texans, Chargers, Packers, and Jets. Now, obviously anything can happen. It's the NFL. We see upsets every single week. But if Miami can avoid letdowns with those, that leaves the 49ers, Bills, and Patriots games as more of those 50-50 types of games that could go either way. So let's go through those briefly here real quick. So you got the Texans. In a rebuild, it's a home game after the bye. Literally no excuse whatsoever to fall on that one. And then next week, you got to go to San Francisco, and that's obviously going to be a challenge. Shanahan knows Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel knows Kyle Shanahan. But the 49ers defense, especially their pass rush, is the thing that scares me even more so than their offense does. Regardless, we're looking at a 50-50 game. Then we're staying at the road, Chargers. And coming into the season, I was super pumped for this game, thought it would be all important, and not saying that it's not important anymore. But man, their defense is banged up just like ours is as well. If you think about their prized free agent acquisition this year, J.C. Jackson on IR. He's out for the entire season. They've had Keenan Allen miss a ton of games this season. Mike Williams got hurt a couple of weeks back. And yeah, those guys maybe will be back or should be back by the time we play them, which would cause problems for us. We're pretty beat up in the secondary. We know the Chargers like to sling it around a little bit. But I don't put as much stock in a team like that with their home field advantage. Obviously, warmer weather place, climate controlled. Sounds like we're going to be staying out west anyways, coming off that 49ers game. So travel's not going to be an issue in that one. Chalk that one up. Let's get a win in that one. But then we got to go to the Bills in December. The definition for Miami Dolphins fan as a complete menacing game. Because yes, I know that we beat them earlier in the season, but you know as well as I do, my entire history, life as a Dolphins fan, 35 years old. Where do we struggle the most? Cold weather games. The Jets, the Patriots, the Bills, year in and year out, it seems to be the common denominator. So if I'm predicting this one today, I'd say the Bills will be favored to win. They could probably win this one. But if we can win enough games besides that one, that game is not necessarily a must win, in my opinion. Because look at the Bills here real quick. They're a half game back right now from us. They got to play a good running team in the Cleveland Browns this upcoming week here in a game that's expected to see multiple feet of snow. Talk about a running game. Talk about Nick Chubb. That could cause problems for the Buffalo Bills, a team that doesn't necessarily like to run the ball. But then some tough ones after that as well. They got to travel to New England. They got to travel to Cincinnati. And then they've got New England at home week 18 as well, which could be a very important game. So there are some potential losses remaining on that schedule as well. Let's keep looking at our schedule, though. Packers game, Christmas game, home against Aaron Rodgers, who has literally received less help from his wide receivers this season than any other season I can remember in his entire career. And yeah, they can run the ball. They're a pretty good running team with Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. But keep in mind, what's one thing that we're really damn good at defensively? Stopping opposing team running backs. And also look at what the Packers have historically done with Aaron Rodgers, whether it's Mike McCarthy or LaFleur. They also tend to abandon the running game, which probably wouldn't be a great idea. But so I just happen to like the Dolphins getting a Christmas win. Then you got week 17 at New England. And I chalk this up as one of those 50-50 games, literally for the same reasons that I just described about the Bills. So I don't need to go into super depth on that. The only big difference is I think the Bills are a much better team than the Patriots. So while I think we can and should win this game, I'm still going to consider this as kind of one of those 50-50 games moving forward. And then you wrap up the season at home against the Jets. And yes, the Jets defense has been a kind of a pleasant surprise for them. It's kept them in the running as throughout 10 weeks anyways. I thought this game was going to be a cakewalk. Going into the preseason, when I went through the regular season, I'm like, God, is there a better team to end at home against than the New York Jets? I don't feel quite that great about it anymore. However, I still really, really, really like our odds. This time when we play the Jets, it's at home. We should have quarterback one. Remember, Tua didn't play last time. And that was the game that Teddy played one snap, got spotted by the concussion spotter, and then we had to go to Skylar Thompson. So we were a complete mess in regards to quarterbacks and offensive game plan in that game. And then you look at the Jets as well. Breece Hall's not there anymore. And we have brought in a menace of our own in Bradley Chubb to help get after a guy like Zach Wilson. And if we can make them become one-dimensional, force them to pass, that is music to the ears of Jaelan Phillips, Melvin Ingram, Bradley Chubb. So I like a W here as well. So if we win those games that I labeled as those should win, must wins, that's going to give us 4 more wins, which bumps our win total to 11 on the season. 11 wins, like I talked about earlier, meaning that you're likely a wild card team at worst with 11 wins. Now let's look at those other games and let's be conservative with those ones. Let's say we go 1-2 in the games that I kind of labeled as those 50-50 games. Now we're up to 12 wins, which all but guarantees at least a wild card spot and likely puts us in the mix with a team like the Bills for the top spot in the AFC East. So regardless, as long as we don't have any big letdowns, run into any additional major injury issues, which fingers crossed because that's kind of been an issue so far this year, the playoffs is the absolute floor. A playoff appearance is the absolute floor for this team with realistic aspirations of maintaining the lead in the AFC East and earning something maybe as high as, I would say, the 2 seed. Because I do think the Kansas City Chiefs are the odds-on favorite to stay at the 1 seed. Look at their remaining schedule. They get the Chargers, the Rams, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Texans, the Seahawks, the Broncos, and the Raiders. My guess is that they're going to be a point spread favorite in every single one of those games. But honestly, if Miami can hold on to the 2 seed, then you're looking at an opening round playoff game that's at home against the 7 seed. And if there's one thing that I made very clear when I talked about the Bills and the Patriots earlier, it's that I don't want this team playing in shitty weather. I want the nice weather in Miami. Our offense can run as it has been the last few weeks if we aren't playing in those conditions. So earning the 2 seed is my number one hope, my number one goal for this team in order to maximize how far they can go this season. Because if you fall out of the lead for the division, now you're looking at likely being like the 5 seed, anywhere 5, 6, 7. You got 3 wild cards now, but you are guaranteed at that point an opening round road game. And that's going to be against a team like the Bills or the Titans or the Ravens, a couple of teams there that we've beat. But then you got to worry about the conditions. And I know we haven't seen the new offense in those conditions yet. I'm just saying, historically, as Dolphins fans, not saying that we can't overcome those conditions. Based on what we've seen, though, it's a lot trickier to play those road games than it is to play at the comfort of our own home. So in my opinion, at this point in the season, through 10 weeks, we already got 7 wins, laying out the schedule the way I did right there. Anything less than a playoff appearance at this point, man, something must have happened. something terrible must have happened. Offensive line injuries or another injury to Tua. Because if you don't make the playoffs at this point, what that would be a terrible failure of a season at this point. And I think we maxed out our playoff seeding, like I said, with the 2 seed, which is really damn good. If someone would have offered you, hey, you guys can be the 2 seed in the AFC playoff picture, they'd have offered you that in the preseason. Pretty confident you would have said, cool, that sounds like a plan to me, because I know damn well that I would have taken that. So that's kind of a look at what the rest of the season looks like for us Dolphins fans. But like I said, little different homework assignment this video. Go ahead, drop your favorite moment, your favorite game, your favorite part of the season so far in the comments below. And if you do have any questions for that viewer mailbag video that I'm going to be getting to later this week, go ahead and include those as well. But that is my time for today, Miami Dolphins fans. Enjoy that bye week and fins up.